to rebook with you, as maybe evaluate them and give them an idea of when they should come back. Don't rely on them just to schedule with you. You want to give them goals. You want to give them, you know, what you're going to do next, see your intentions and everything. So they have some motivation to come back. You know, if they're just getting more relaxation massages, there's we know as therapists, there's so many benefits to, just a regular Swedish massage just to relax. It helps with prevention, all that of injuries. They that could be a once a month thing, once every couple months. I mean, just depending on what they can afford and what you would like. But specifically in these situations that I'm going over today, we're going to talk to Mr. Steve, and he has pain issues. As you see, he is not the most greatly built skeleton. He has some dislocated shoulders, and we're going to ignore that. But let's say he's my client. Say hi, Steve. Hello. Okay, so all right. If you can actually see, what I'm noticing on his side is he's kind of tilting this direction with his obliques. Now, obviously, it's because he's a skeleton, but let's pretend he's a human. And a lot of people have really tight obliques through here, and they're starting to shift. That could be maybe they're driving, leaning on all their weight on one side. They're sleeping funny. They're, stop staring at me here. Look at the camera. So it could be a number of reasons, but what I would do if this was my client, I would outline what I plan to do, so I'd say, all right, Steve, so let's say right before the massage, we go in, I would look at them, I would say, okay, right now what I see, he's real tight through here. Everything's kind of pulling that direction. His shoulders coming up on this side. I want to let him know this. That way he can trust me and know that, oh, wow, this person seems to know what they're talking about. So, his adductor is actually real tight on this side. You can see, I mean, obviously, again, he's a skeleton, but, pretend this is a human, like I said. If we turned him around, I hope y'all like the muscles I made on him. Same thing. He's still shifting over here. We want to, I want to teach him that the goals I'm going to have to, and what I'm going to do. So I would tell him, well, I want to do this first is I want to get, put you on a massage table. We're going to do a lot of oblique work, maybe some stretching, some active stretching. So I would, do a lot of, he can't actually do what I want him to do because he's, like I said, badly built skeleton and he'll rip all the muscles. But I would kind of arch his body over, kind of work all this out. Maybe have him, hold resistance against it as I'm pressing into these muscles, and he can pull, kind of active release it. There's basically different techniques we would do, and if y'all see some of my videos, you'll see I do a lot of these techniques to help release this. I have specifically a lat massage video on my channel if y'all want to look it up. It actually has the colors and all that. I colored on one of my receptionists, and she did an amazing job. But in this specific situation, let's say I worked on him. I would, first I want to point out to him before the massage, here's what I notice. After the massage, okay, he's probably going to be standing a little straighter. He's going to be shifting. All right, and I'm going to say, here's what I'm noticing. I'm noticing you're standing straighter. Everything seems to be a little bit better aligned. What I'm going to tell him is your muscle memory, though, has a habit to go back to where it was. So if he waits too long to get back in, he's just going to go back. We tend to do those same repetitive actions and movements throughout the day. It's going to go back to where it was. So what I like to do, at least for the first one in his situation, if he was in pain from this, I would get him sooner, probably about 3 to 5 days. If it was just more of a tension thing, I would probably do about 7 to 10 days, depending on his situation, and, kind of play it by ear. What I also like to do is tell them, even if it's not true on your schedule, tell them this so that they know, it's kind of like a psychology thing. You tell them, hey, my schedule fills up, really quickly. So why don't you go ahead? I'd rather you have to cancel later and reschedule than not be able to get in at all. So go ahead, lead them to the front. Maybe tell a receptionist or something, hey, I want to see them back at this time. Work hand in hand with that receptionist. Or if you don't have a receptionist, say, hey, go ahead, put you down. Here's what we're going to do on the next session. I like to always give them some exercises. I have a lot of corrective exercises on my channel as well. You can check them out on the Mobility Stability playlist and give them maybe 2, 3 max. Don't give them more than that because chances are they're going to do 1. So tell them, what I do is say, okay, here's 3. I'll write them down as well. I'll say, at least do this one if you do any of them. And just hope that they do it. And then that way, at least when you get them back sooner, you can ask them, okay, did you do any of these? Always sound encouraging. Don't just be like, well, if you didn't do them, I ain't going to work on you again. So, always be encouraging, try to, find out, why they didn't do it. Were they hurting? When it comes to exercises, they want us, if they're feeling any pain doing something, just tell them don't do it. If it's more of a soreness, it's okay. So, as I said, we're going to, I would tell them, okay, so here's my goals. I want to, here, what I'm going to do is start working this area. I'm going to teach you some exercises to help strengthen this. And then we're going to find out how to get you standing up straight regularly. And then when that happens, it's going to make you feel a lot better. The other thing I want to mention to him, let's say he doesn't feel any pain. He just has this issue and doesn't realize it's causing him an issue because maybe he's 20 years old and he just happens to stand like this. He doesn't feel this issue right now. Well, a lot of our thing as a massage therapist is we know what happens to them later on. So what I would like to tell them is, hey, right now you may not feel some of this stuff, but 20, 30 years down the road, if it could potentially cause some issues. And here, let them know your experience. Say, hey, I work on clients all the time that wish they could get a head start back when they were younger. But so really tell them, coach them on what your expectations are. Coach them, because a lot of the fear I know as well is they'll go to like chiropractors, let's say, and there's some chiropractors that will say, okay, I want to see you 3 times a week for the next, forever, and there's no goals. It's just a lot of the chiropractors just want money. Show them it's not about the money to you as much as it is about helping them. Now, obviously, money helps, but it's more about, hey, here's our goals. Let's get you in, you know, every couple days, not a couple days, but if it's pain related, like I said, get back in with maybe 3 to 4 days. If it's not pain related, maybe, and it's just like they're just real tight, you know, at least the first one, I like to say 7 to 10 days. That way the muscle memory doesn't pull you back. Another key is I don't want, when they're done with the massage, I tell them, don't just go home and sit down. Go home, move around, because that teaches their body to keep moving, keep being mobile, because otherwise it's going to tense them up. And their body is always going to go back to where it was, So again, I would tell them here's our goals. I'm gonna take you up to the front. Go ahead and get you set up for your next appointment. What maybe we can do is, here's my outline of what I would like. We'll get you in this situation. Let's say he's in pain. I'm gonna get you back in 3 to 4 days. After which, we'll probably spread it out to about a week later, and then as you start getting better, we'll start spreading it out more and more, and then see how your body does. And I like to also tell them, if you don't do the exercises though, I can only do so much. So it's important that they do them too. And then the other thing is, make sure, if they are, a lot of times they're shifting, it's because they're not standing wide enough. So if they stand like this, don't make fun of my shoes, please, and my white socks. It's just a long day today. But my point is, if they're standing like this, they're going to be shifting on one side or the other. We want them standing wide, not like my receptionist is right now, but standing wide. So yeah, now she's correcting it. So, and that way they're more stable. And then, see, now we've built a trust in clients. The last thing I'll leave you with is one, it's so important after the massage to point out the difference that you notice in their, in their posture and their, everything. Because if they start trusting you more and believing that you know what you're talking about, it goes so far. When they come back the next time, maybe in your soap notes you would have written some cool things down that you would remember. Tell them, hey, I noticed last time, this was going on. Now it seems to be a lot better. Now don't lie to them if it's not true, and if it's not true, try to get them in sooner so we can see the difference. But if not, if it is true, of course, tell them. I'm noticing, because a lot of people, definitely if they're in pain, their psychology is going to beat themselves down. If they can't do an exercise, they're going to be really down on themselves and just give up. I have a lot of elderly clients that, they can't get up and down from the ground. You know, I'll tell them a simple exercise, and say, okay, if you can just do this one, then you're succeeding. You're doing great. Because it's baby steps. You know, let your this don't give them a big exercise that they can really fail on. Give them something small to give them a sense of accomplishment that they're doing good. And then as you build this relationship, you'll they'll start trusting you more, and you'll have so much more success with your clients. Okay, well, Steve, thank you for being such a great video video person with me. You did a great job. And Trinae, thank you for being my videographer. And thank you guys for watching this. Let me know what you think. Comment below. Hit subscribe. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on YouTube, and then follow us on TikTok. We're pretty much everywhere. So at Natural Forces Massage, and thank you for supporting small business. Have a great day.